Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander viewers are advised that the following program contains images and voices of people who have died.
Yep, you go. The relationship I have with Quaden, it's a different kind of mother-son relationship because he's not your average child.
So I got it.
Oh, okay.
I didn't need more hands.
He's a 9-year-old kid that just wants to live a regular life. He wants to be normal. You know, he asks all the time, can't the doctors fix me up? What can we see? See if there's any little tadpoles or fish or... So I think that's where my overprotectiveness comes in because I want to do everything I can to improve my son's quality of life, to ensure that he's going to be okay, because I know how cruel people can be. Nice and warm, eh? I get very easily angered when I hear of another incident because we just want it to stop.
This is how bullying affects a 9-year-old kid.
I could never have predicted what was going to happen after one video.
A Brisbane mother has posted this heartbreaking video to show the impact bullying can have.
Posted online, collecting more than 23 million views.
I'm not saying this video is fake, but an 18-year-old dwarf is going to look the same as a 9-year-old dwarf.
He's an actor. He's an influencer. Here he is with the money.
I have never seen the amount of vilification that came out of this one event. It was relentless.
I don't think any child should ever have to go through what he's been through, and any parent have to go through what my sister's been through.
We need to talk about these things because that's the only way we're going to make a change. We couldn't suffer in silence any longer. Smile, big chin. Nice little one. Yeah, that's nice.
Hi, my name is Quaden Bayles and I want to be TikTok famous. I am 9, almost turning 10. People think I'm 18, but I'm really not. Trust me, I'm really 10. 1 and 0. I'll be turning that soon.
Oh, yes!
Quaden is a very energetic, loving, cheeky, crazy, happy person. He proves everyone wrong. He can do just about anything he puts his mind to. Nothing's stopping Quaden.
Which one's your favourite? Brooklyn 11, who's that? He's got such a big heart, but he is very self-conscious. He's very sensitive and he's an emotional little soul. That's the best one, isn't it?
I wish I could have a power that could be invisible and teleport. And a power that you can do whatever you want.
I became a mother at 17, and being a first-time mum of twins as a teenager was very difficult.
Where are you going, Raya?
So with Quaden 11 years later, it was just like a miracle. I felt like I was an adult now, you know, I'm ready for motherhood. I get a second chance of, you know, everything I felt like I didn't get to do with my twin daughters because I was so young. He was a healthy 9-pound baby. His father cut the cord. He was so happy. Those first 3 days were just bliss.
Everyone was elated, you know, but I didn't let on, but there was something wrong.
I just remember someone saying, oh, he's got a big head. And that wasn't a very good thing for a mum to hear as soon as I'd given birth.
I came up and I remember looking at the little baby and I was like, oh my God, it's got little kind of witchetty grub fingers. And I didn't think anything of it right then, and I don't think she did either.
And I just quietly said to one of the nurses, what is this? And I showed her Quaden's fingers. And she goes, we call that trident fingers. I went home and I jumped on the internet and I typed in trident fingers, and the very first image that came up was a person with dwarfism.
On day 3, we got the diagnosis, and that's when my world changed. Like, it just felt like everything came crashing down.
dysplasia is a form of skeletal dysplasia, and so it's the most common type of dwarfism. In simplest terms, you're not going to get the same amount of long bone growth. So it's something that the families often don't know until the time that their baby's born.
Look over here.
I think the fear of the unknown was definitely my biggest issue. No one was allowed to say or repeat his diagnosis. I didn't want anyone talking about it in front of me. I didn't want anyone asking. So I just shut down. I pretended like everything was fine.
I don't really get to see that much. The facts were there. They were indisputable. I just wanted to get on with it, you know what I mean? But there was just this deep, you know, sadness I felt with inside Yarika. And it affected my relationship with her a great deal, I think, yeah.
And eventually, it was too much pressure on the family. It tore us apart. Our relationship ended when Quaden was around 2.5. I couldn't see what other people saw.
What are you doing?
I saw a perfectly healthy, beautiful, happy, cheeky, smart, intelligent baby boy. Go on, Nan. Oh, OK. Ring her up then.
Okay.
And then we started, you know, going out more in public and people would make comments or stare. And I was like, OK, people know he's different. People obviously can see. Like, I can't see it.
It's so rude, the way that people will just look at Quaden and as soon as they see him, maybe even bring out their phone and start recording him, start taking photos.
There's nothing quite like the pain that you feel when it's not you that's being ridiculed, but it's your child. And I think that was a really big struggle for Yarika.
I was taking Quaden for his OT, his physio, his speech pathology, all of these appointments on the one day. And then, for the first time in my life, I saw other families with children with dwarfism.
She started to acknowledge, OK, my son has dwarfism. She started to reach out to get support. She started connecting with other families that had children with dwarfism or they had dwarfism themselves.
It was really good for us to understand what Quaden had and what life would look like in the future for him.
There are amazing people in the dwarfism community around the world that are living their best life, that are excelling. So once I started seeing that, I was like, it was a huge weight lifted off my shoulder. So it was almost like I found my tribe. And out of that, we've established Dwarfism Awareness Australia. And we've been able to get great advice and support from people with dwarfism all around the world. I want to teach my children what my parents taught me. Stand up and speak your mind. Fight for what you believe in. I'm from a very big, diverse background. We were raised in a very strong, politically active, proud Aboriginal family in Sydney in the 80s.
Montanara, do you want Cocoa Pops or Rice Bubbles or Corn Flakes?
We've been raised by some deadly people. They taught us that as an Aboriginal kid, we're no different to anyone else. Don't let anyone tell you you can't do that. You can achieve whatever.
You want to go and see all the Koori? Yeah. Hey, wait, when you finish your breakfast, you got to finish your breakfast first.
Yarika's father, Quaden Bayles, was a prominent activist, well known for his work in the community. Tiger and his mum, Auntie Maureen, really wanted to set up something substantial in the community that was a media organisation. And so together, we set up Radio Redfern.
Let us know what you would like to hear. Maybe some songs, maybe some news.
Tiger was one of the most respected Indigenous broadcasters. He was hard-hitting, he was entertaining. Everyone knew Tiger.
The relationship my dad and Quaden had was a bond like no other. And you would think, coming from a big family and lots of grandchildren, that you don't favour any kid and they're all equal.
Pop knows how to do it.
But Quaden was special.
How?
It was a beautiful bond. I guess my dad just made him feel like, you know, like Superman, like he was untouchable.
I don't have dwarfism. I don't have dwarfism.
Quaden would always be quite upset about why he looked different, and Pop would always say, you know, you're going to get a little bit taller, but you're not going to get tall like your sisters or like me. You know, he always told him the truth.
But I keep saying to him, you will grow bigger and you will be able to drive a car, play soccer or football or ride a motorbike. You will be able to do those things. It's just that you're going to be a little bit shorter in the arms and legs.
He taught me how to hunt, taught me how to swim, and taught me a lot of things.
They spent a lot of time together, and he was very much the father figure in Quaden's life. So when Tiger passed, I mean, we were all deeply affected by it, but I think Yarrika and Quaden especially felt it most.
Quaden was 6 years old when my dad passed away from cancer. I noticed a huge shift. That's when I noticed the suicidal tendencies creeping in. And I think he just thought as soon as he dies, he can go to heaven and be with Pop. And that was really alarming. People say, how can a 6-year-old even know what suicide is? We've been to that many funerals in our family members that have taken their lives. So he's been exposed to that. As Aboriginal people, that's our reality. With the support of psychologists and psychiatrists and counselling, that's the only way that I've been able to support my son through this.
You are 97.5.
Ooh, you're growing. What was it last time?
Do you remember?
Quaden's been in and out of hospital more than any kid I know. The kind of surgeries and things that he's had to go through in hospital, we would be quite scared. And he's so resilient and so strong for everyone.
You like the colour of the machine today?
On the morning of his 4th birthday, we got his MRI results back that showed compression of the spinal cord. So if you think of, you know, a child with dwarfism, they've got a much more larger, pronounced head. So the weight of his head is squashing his spinal cord. They needed to expand the foramen magnum, which is the hole where the spinal cord and brainstem meet.
Okay, your hand's in a nice spot.
Because if he didn't have that surgery, he was losing use of his limbs.
This one goes for 2 minutes, so very still until...
Achondroplasia often does come with a set of potential issues that we really need to screen for.
Thank you.
There can be increased fluid in the brain. You can have tightening of the area around the base of the skull.
No, it was really long. They needed to get your whole brain and your whole spine.
So some of the most severe complications can be to that breathing, sleeping, respiration, all those things.
So he goes into respiratory failure every time he falls asleep. He cannot go anywhere without this machine. It looks like a vacuum cleaner, so it's literally life support.
My role as a physiotherapist is really about participation. How can we get him to enjoy those things that he wants to do in a way that's safe?
Try this one. Have a go.
He has the best ball skills of anyone I've ever worked with.
Yes!
He's got great eye-hand coordination.
Oh, so close.
He's got the balance to ride a bike. He's got many, many skills that are often challenging for people who have short stature.
Very nice. Good work.
Well, I'm good at AFL, football and basketball. Oh, and what's that thing? That sport?
Baseball.
No.
Cricket, tennis. Oh, volleyball.
Yeah, that one as well. That's what I'm really good at.
I think also your balance and your standing stuff is pretty good. I don't know that you could do any hops for me last time.
If he has a big day one day, he'll have bed rest the next day. I think that's probably stand for a lot of people with the dwarfism. I think the early onset arthritis and the very crackly bones. So he's almost like a little old man trapped in a little boy's body. Tied you out, huh? Quaden, he seemed to breeze through prep in grade 1, and then from grade 2 to where he is now in grade 4, he wasn't growing at the rate of other children in his class, so he was the odd one out. He would come home and ask me, what does midget mean?
But I don't like the M-word and the N-word, and like they call me all that other stuff. And like they just call me that cute word, and I don't like the word cute.
Hung up the boots for a while. The first term of this year, of grade 4, he'd had enough. He'd come home and told me that children were teasing and name-calling, and he just didn't want to go to school anymore. He'd had enough.
Well, who do you want to play for then?
He hadn't attended school on the Monday or the Tuesday, and then on Wednesday morning we got a call from the principal. She said, look, we noticed Quaden's not at school today, but the bullets are coming in. We know how much he loves his sport, especially basketball. And as soon as I mentioned that to Quaden, he was up, ready to go, had his basketball shoes on. We went to pick him up. We were a bit early, so we got there just before 3, and Quaden's class was still on the basketball court at that time.
And these girls were in front of him, and, you know, they were putting their hand, you know, to their waist, like seeing where he comes up to, and just laughing about it.
I saw the pat on the heads, and they're all giggling and chuckling. Straight away, my heart broke, man. I was like, not this again. Like, far out, aren't we over this already? I could feel the pain. I could sense it looking at him. I knew that he was gonna break down. I knew that he just had enough.
Every single freaking day, something happens. Another episode, another bullying, another taunt, another name calling.
And, you know, when we got in the car, that's when he just broke down and he just started crying and saying all of that stuff.
I just want to bang my head into a block. I want someone to kill me.
He hates his condition. He really does. He wants to be like his dad and like us. And he knows deep down he can't. And that's what hurts him so much.
You don't even do anything.
He was hysterical. He wanted something done right there and then, and I didn't know what to do. I said, Quaden, I want everyone to see how this is affecting you. I don't know what to do anymore.
I want people to know, parents, educators, teachers, this is the effect that bullying has.
I'm gonna kill myself.
This is what bullying does.
I just got on my Facebook Live and recorded it.
And this is the side that I don't choose to share. I choose to keep this private, but we can't do it anymore. We try to be...
Sometimes I did wish Mum didn't post that video, you know, because it did affect all of us in a very big way. But I understand why she did it, you know. We all do. Just to show people, like, this is how my sons feel when you know, react like that to him in public.
I woke up in the morning, my phone's blowing up, we've got media at our door. I'm like, what is going on? I've got non-stop call after call after call, and then we'd realise, oh my goodness, this video's gone viral. And I'm like, what the hell have I done?
The world is right now rallying behind bullied Brisbane boy Quaden Bayles.
And that video has been viewed millions of times, even garnered support from celebrities, including actor Hugh Jackman.
Quaden, you are stronger than you know, mate.
Over that weekend, when it really did, it hit, like NRL's ringing, Jonathan Thurston's ringing, Indigenous All-Stars, the whole team is now doing a video message.
We're here to support you, bud. We just want to make sure that you're doing all right.
All of this attention from community, the support, the media, it was huge. It was huge.
Led out by 9-year-old Quaden Bayles.
It was fun, and I wanted to run with them, but I didn't get to because they thought I said to walk out with them, but I said run.
Quaden is also delivering tonight's match ball.
It was a really big crowd saying my name, and I got a bit, like, shy. Yeah.
Hey, Quaden. My name is Brad Williams. I'm a dwarf who lives in the United States of America. I just want to let you know that we love you, we support you.
I shot the video on Wednesday the 19th. I then get an inbox the next day on Thursday the 20th of February, and it just said, "Hi, my name's Brad Williams. I'm a comedian in the US.
You can contact me if you just want to talk."
He asked if he could do a GoFundMe, and I'm like, yeah, sure.
I figure, what can I do from half a world away? Let's send the kid to Disneyland. It's the happiest place on earth. He needs to be happy. So I put up a GoFundMe. I thought, 10 grand, that'll do it.
Brad was checking in. He's like, wow, it's reached 5K, then wow, 7K, 8K, 9K, it's up to 10K. We've reached our target pretty much in 24 hours. So I was like, okay, cool, we're gonna go to Disneyland, and everything was fine. And then it just kept going and going and going.
More than $200,000 has been raised to send a little boy to Disneyland.
Thank you very much for giving me lots of love and support.
It was like the talk of our family every day, every hour. We're talking about the crowdfunding. That was such a beautiful gesture. And then it turned really sour.
That's learned behaviour. You are teaching your son how to be a fucking victim. You're a piece of mum. You don't deserve your son.
When people started seeing how much money was being donated, we then became under attack for being fraudsters or scammers.
I got some questions.
Are we sure if this is even true? Have we checked the facts? Like, what parent does that?
Y'all famous people got scammed by little shawty right here.
Apparently, Quaden is an 18-year-old man. He's already rich and famous. He's an actor. I coached him to do and say everything in that video, and it was all fake. So, yeah, I just think, wow, really? That's when I knew we needed a lot more help and support. And I remember my dad interviewing George Newhouse. So I rang him for advice and I said, look, I think I'm gonna need a lawyer.
We've dealt with online race vilification before, but I'd never seen anything quite as bad as this. Addressing cyber racism is actually a laborious and time-consuming activity, and it involves work both here in Australia and in the United States, which is where the vile material was emanating from. So we couldn't do it on our own. I thought of Eric Byrne immediately. He's had experience with internet vilification and can deal with the Googles of this world.
Search for Quaden Bayles scam gets 13,000 hits on YouTube.
We saw this proliferation of fake and imposter accounts targeting the family with all types of defamatory, racist, harmful commentary.
You've got people who post on Facebook and then go to Twitter.
So of the 120 videos that we had identified, we got about 106 videos taken down. So that for us was a great success.
They'd steal photos from Yarraka's social media pages and try and portray them in a negative light by...
The family's distress was made so much worse by the fact that there were a number of high-profile people who retweeted this vile material.
One of the Daily Telegraph's star columnists, Miranda Devine, retweeted the claims on Twitter.
That's really rotten if this was a scam.
I saw a lot of the screenshots from Miranda Devine. She has maybe 70,000 followers on Twitter, I think it was.
How could any one parent do this?
Yep, exactly. On the case.
So I thought, okay, why does she feel the need to, you know, perpetuate that cycle of misinformation?
The conspiracy theory was always absurd, and by the time Devine was giving it credence, it had already been shown to be nonsense.
There was a request for an apology from our legal team that was rejected, and then our legal team proceeded with the defamation case. We ended up getting our apology and the matter's been settled. So this is the apology we received from Miranda Devine on September the 19th. I posted some comments on my personal Twitter account. I now know those comments were hurtful and untrue. I sincerely apologise to the Bayles. We're very happy to be able to just, you know, put that behind us and move on with the rest of our life.
Yeah?
happier?
I think this case exposes the good and the bad side of human nature. The campaign that Brad Williams had established ended up raising around $450,000 US.
As much as Quaden has always dreamt of going to America, it just wasn't sitting right. And I just really had to think carefully, and we came up with that decision that it's probably best that we don't take the trip.
And the family then had to negotiate with Brad Williams about how the funds would actually be distributed.
Scissors, paper, rock.
I can tell you that most of the money has gone to charities, particularly for those with disabilities.
So what do I owe ya?
Me and Gladys and ice cream.
Quaden receives a small amount in trust.
What ice cream is one?
I can assure you that it is a very small percentage of the funds that were raised.
Quaden, so good to see you, pal. Are you doing all right?
There's been so many positive aspects over the negative.
Yeah, great.
After the video went viral, people were wanting to help and support any way they could, and I noticed this American guy that was analysing the video.
The mom thinks that by showing this video that empathy is going to sweep across the world and all of a sudden people are going to be kind.
When I first saw Quaden's video, I just was heartbroken the moment I saw his face in total despair and his mother feeling completely helpless on how to help her child. She desperately wanted to change the world around her son so that he wouldn't have to suffer. I want to review what we went over last time. As a school psychologist, my message to Yerika was, no, empower your child to be emotionally resilient where they're not, he's not living for the approval of other kids.
While at first I felt like my parenting was under attack, I felt my defensive mechanisms were kicking in, I sat back and I processed that and I was like, he's right.
If I say someone's bullied me, what do you think happened? The first thing, I wanted to get rid of the word bully or bullying from their vocabulary. It just complicates and escalates hostilities. No. Call it what it is and keep it in its proper size. Instead of using the word bully, it's better to use what happened. Like this. You could say, they called me a name. They pushed me around. They told my secrets to other kids. The second thing I wanted to do was teach Quaden emotional regulation. He can actually control how he feels by changing his thinking. It's basic cognitive behavioral therapy. So if he doesn't believe what people are saying is a big deal, he won't have an emotional consequence. 3, action. 1, 2, 3, go.
Yeah, miss it.
Oh, hey, Quaden. Yeah, I know I'm short. I'm short.
Yeah, you'll always be short. You'll never grow in your life.
I'm going to grow a little, but not much. I like it. I always stay young.
Really helped. It was really good. Don't get upset, treat them like a friend. And that's what I say to people now, and now they understand.
Oh, good kick. I'm just so proud of the way that he's just able to tell people how he feels now, because that's something that he hadn't been doing for a very long time.
My hope is that he understands that there's nothing he can do to reverse what he's been born with. And for him to be truly happy within himself, that's the magic there, you know.
So it has been a bit of a rocky road since Quaden's returned to school.
Mum, is that Pink Lady?
Okay. Pink Lady, your favourite. We've got a team of about 15 people helping to guide and support us through his school life.
Can I go back my team?
Yes, and then he's got a male Indigenous support worker there, so he feels safe and protected.
Oh, careful.
But unfortunately, the anxiety is something that he's really struggling with at the moment.
Do you know where my grey basketball is?
I have to have a look. He doesn't have the energy to be able to last full days of school, but that's due to the deterioration in his health. That'll do.
Okay.
All we can do is take it day by day.
I just want to be in grade 6 already and graduate. And just not go to high school, straight to college. So I can just be smart straight away. because you learn more when you're in college. And I want to be a basketballer, AFL, footy, work for Energex, and be a millionaire.
What are you going to do with your millions?
Probably buy a house and a car for my mum and help the homeless and be a good man. What I really want to do, I wanted to act when I was a little kid. Like, I wanted to be comedy, like laughing shows. Because I like watching funny shows. I like to make people laugh. So this will be like my first movie. Done. Cut.
If this program has raised personal concerns, you may wish to contact one of these services for further information or advice. Lifeline 13 11 14. Beyond Blue 1300 22 4636.